said I'd never join.
Thought living on sub would be too hard.
I figured only the weatherman tracks storms.
I said my job wouldn't matter.
Never knew how strong I was. I never thought this would be my commute.
I figured I'd never get out of my hometown.
Or be the one who stops an attack. Joining the Navy sounds crazy. Saying never actually is.
Oh, hi everyone, and welcome into Behind the Helm. If you want to watch this show live, tune in every Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. Make sure to leave a comment down below, and we'll respond live. As always, find it, like it, share it, follow it. But if you want to watch the show after the fact, head on over to YouTube or on Facebook, where the shows are cataloged, and you can see all the comments and notes and still watch the show and any bonus content. If you just want to listen to the show, head on over to Spotify, Apple Podcast, Audible, wherever you can find a podcast, and just search up Behind the Helm. Enjoy the show. Episode 82. That's right. You're here on the #1 military podcast in the Midwest. Not just Indiana anymore. We are now the #1 military podcast in the Midwest. You are on Behind the Helm, episode 82. If this is your first time here, hey, what a great episode to start your journey on. But if this is your 82nd time here, I appreciate you. That's awesome. You're amazing. Thank you so very much. We have a great show today. I said I have some great news and just an amazing guest that I cannot wait to introduce. But before we do that, let's talk about a few things. Let's talk about some news. Let's talk about some things going on. So this is the very last episode of February. Normally, the last episode of the month is the Q&A episode. This month, I'm not doing a Q&A. Might do one next month. And it's mainly because I wanted to get this guest on because of some things that are going on. March, however, is right around the corner. And March, of course, is Women's Appreciation Month. And there are a few things I want to talk about with that. And it's partly why I think that our guest is so awesome. But first, I wanted to take a look at this picture. So if you watch the Super Bowl, sure, there's a lot of stuff going around about the halftime show, and there's a ton going around about the national anthem that Chris Stapleton did that I personally thought was awesome. Whatever your personal views are, I just think it was really good. However, right after the national anthem, something happened that they only showed for about 5 seconds, which was a historical event, and it was really awesome. And I want to just bring this picture up. Super Bowl history was made when the flyover was the first all-female Navy aviation team to conduct a flyover at Super Bowl. That is awesome. All those, the flyover, every pilot was a female. So that is amazing. You want to talk about leaps and bounds in the military for females. That is so cool. And they really only talked about it for a very, very short time. And I don't think it got as much attention as I think it should have. So I wanted to bring it up. Way to go, ladies. Let's go. Hoo-yah Navy. That's awesome. Absolutely amazing. And with that being said, we do an homage to the Eagle. I have a special one, right? So since we're talking about an all-Navy flyover and we did our little Navy blimp sub last week, well, you know I got a plane to match it. It's a stress plane. It's supposed to look like the Hornet, but you can squeeze it. Little stress reliever. And yeah, absolutely. So this is what we're giving to the Eagle. So this is going to fly high with our Eagle. Set it right up here. A little homage to the Eagle. Table's getting a little full, right? And I have some other news too before we bring in our guests. I said that I had some big news. And that big news is I have completely caught up on the Spotify and actual audio podcast. So my goal is to be live on Thursdays at 4 p.m. And then I think by Friday afternoon or Monday morning, I'll have it scheduled that the audio version will then be published right away to like Spotify, Google Podcasts. And so, yeah, we're completely caught up. You're going to start getting those week to week. There were a bunch more uploaded over the last couple days, so you've probably seen that influx. So if you're more of the audio person, make sure you like it there too. Make sure you go down right now and smash that like button. If you're on YouTube, make sure that you subscribe. I was looking at the statistics, and it shows that most of my viewers aren't subscribed. So find it, like it, share it, follow it, do the bells, do all the algorithmic things that you need to do, because this is some great information to get out. Last week's was great. This is just some amazing information and stuff that we're going to learn today, and I'm excited to go over it. So make sure that you find it, like it, share it, follow it. Do whatever you can to get this information out there, because you never know who you might help. So episode 82, what are we talking about? Well, we're bringing a very special guest. She is a petty officer in the Navy. She is a CTI, which is a linguist. All right. And she's been in the Navy for a while. We're going to talk about her journey. Her name is Petty Officer Michal Williams. She goes by Mikey, is her nickname. And there's a little bit behind that as well. So I'm going to go ahead and bring her in. I'm going to put my headphones on too. Actually, let me turn the speakers down so I can get my headphones on, so we don't get that feedback. All right. And I will hopefully, I'll bring in our guest here in just a second. Let me get it pulled up. One of these days, I'm going to get better at this, I swear. All right. Where is it? There it is. Hey, Petty Officer, can you hear me?
Yes, Chief, can you hear me?
Kind of.
Kind of.
That's my headphones. I got to turn that up. All right. Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead and say something again.
Can you hear me?
Yep, we're good. It's just I turned the volume down in the headphones to make sure that I didn't blow my ears out. Let me turn that up just a little bit, or it's going to be hard for me to hear you. It doesn't change anything for anybody else. Well. Oh, yeah, that's real low. Let's go. This is the best part about doing it live. Not really. All right. Now say something.
Something.
Perfect. All right, great.
Perfect.
So, hey, welcome into the show. I'm so glad that you were able to do it. We owe your friend like a Coke. You were supposed to be on a watch right now, and
I owe her
you were able to get out a watch. You're welcome. No big deal.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's all good. But absolutely, I'm so glad that you're here. And, I'm excited to talk about your journey. And, Women's Appreciation is right around the corner. I don't know. Did you know about the flyover?
I didn't, actually.
Yeah.
I didn't watch the Super Bowl. Well, it was on. I didn't really watch it.
Yeah, me neither. It's okay.
It's not my favorite sport. Okay.
Yeah, right. Well, we'll talk about that a little later. But, most definitely, I just thought it was such a cool thing that it didn't get talked about enough. And, with Women's Appreciation right around the corner, that just happened. And I wanted to talk about you because obviously, like, you've had great success in the Navy. And even we're going to talk about some of the success that you're hoping to have after and maybe even come back to, right? So you joined the Navy when?
In 2014.
And you're originally from where?
North Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina.
Charlotte, North Carolina. But I don't look like you're in North Carolina now. I do still love that you got your Valentine's Day decorations up. Yeah.
Yes, I'm quite festive. I need to redecorate for St. Patrick's Day coming up soon.
Yeah, you said good cover up, because when we talked earlier, you said Easter, and I said, well, I'm Irish and you're forgetting a holiday. Good cover. I'm going to call you out on it, though. That's all right, though.
Well, if anything, I don't know how to learn from my superiors, so.
Oh, man, wow. So did you cut those hearts out yourself there? Those are bought. Those are store-bought, aren't they?
Store-bought them. Yeah, not very crafty with the scissors, more with tape.
With tape. Yeah, duct tape, fix anything. All right, so you joined out of Charlotte, South Carolina. So you've been in the Navy now just about 9 years.
Coming up in August.
Coming up in August will be 9 years. Wow. Yeah. So did you join right out of high school?
I did. My dad was actually in the Navy.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah,
he was an HM.
He was an HM. Yeah, he didn't push me too hard to join. I think he was surprised because we'd never really talked about it much
Mhm.
until I was like, I want to join the Navy. And he was like, okay.
Yeah, you kind of wanted to like. Do you think that had an influence on you though? Like you wanted to kind of be part of that legacy. Like what was it? Did a recruiter come to your school? Did you go to them? Like kind of what kind of turned that corner for you?
So a few things. I was really wanted to be at some point in my life in the FBI.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing a lot of research, and one of the career pathways is actually to join the military and then route that way.
Yep.
And so I was trying to what I wanted to do with my life, and I'd already spoken French fluently by that point, so I knew I wanted to do something with languages.
Mm-hmm.
And fun enough, a Navy recruiter came, and she did her presentation, and she brought up about languages, and you can learn new ones. The Navy will teach you, and you'll have a cool job. And I thought about it. I went home to my dad, and he said, I don't know what a linguist is or a CTI is. Never before, but we'll have to see.
Yeah,
and
so you were already fluent in French?
Yes.
Like fluent, write, speak, understand. Really?
Yes.
Was that from school or?
My mom put me in a language magnet program from the age of about 5 to 10.
Oh, wow.
Entire day was in French. Learn in North Carolina, funnily enough, learning same curriculum as everybody else. Just I had teachers from Belgium, the Ivory Coast, different French-speaking countries, and so by the time I was 12, I was pretty fluent, and then just continued.
That's awesome. Just a shout out here. There's a couple people who've commented already. Make sure you comment down below. Smash that like button, especially if you know CTI1 or Mikey or however you know her by, Michael Ann. But one of my old future sailors says, what's up? What's going on, Hedrick? Chief Harkins is out there, said, let's go. I'm glad you could be on. And then, of course, my wife was telling me, hey, we can hear, and I can't wait to hear this. She's really excited, too. She's always been a businesswoman and very big on woman empowerment. So I know she was excited about it when I told her about it. She's like, that's so cool. So, but yeah, so you went ahead and joined. So you already knew French. That's cool, right?
Yes.
And you know, the FBI route, most definitely. I try to talk to people a lot because a lot of times people think, oh, I want to go in the FBI or CIA. They want to be the law enforcement side of it. But I think, you know, your views kind of changed on what you want to do, but that was a goal at the time. CTI as a linguist is not an easy job to qualify for. And so you kind of had a view before you even went to MEPS that's kind of what you wanted to do, was be a linguist.
Yeah, so they were talking to me about obviously being a nuke after I took my ASVAB. Yeah, they were trying to sell that hard, and I tried to sell that they didn't want me as one because math and I were not, you know, and languages are. And so, you know, but they were obviously thrilled that I wanted to be a CTI. And so then going through MEPS, you have to take the DLAB, the Defense Language Aptitude Battery. Yeah. It's the test lets them know you can be a linguist. And it's a funny test. It's pattern recognition, I guess is the easiest. It. You have no idea if you passed or failed. You don't know where you are, what day it is. It's strange. And you leave. And I honestly thought I'd failed and I wasn't going to be a linguist. They came out with 15 folders in one hand and one folder in the other hand. And I was the one folder. And I was like, wow.
Oh, you were the only one.
I was the only one out of almost 20 people that passed. I was shocked.
I tell people with the DLAB when they ask me like, hey, is there anything I can study for it? No, because it's completely made up. It's not even like a made up language. It's to see if you can comprehend. Like, could you pick up patterns? Could you be able to do that? Because otherwise it's like, it's literally, that's what it is. Like, you know, to comprehend it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cause it doesn't mean anything. Like I'd had people tell me like, I was trying to figure out what the words meant. I'm like, they don't mean anything. Like that's the point, you know? So, but that's awesome. So you got CTI. Now, when you join as a CTI, you don't know what language it's going to be until you get to A school, or is it you find out in boot camp?
So in boot camp, basically, they'll have a chief linguist come in, and yes, and the way they've kind of explained it is they'll look at your ASVAB and they'll look at your DLAB, and depending on how you scored, you have to get, I think, I'm not sure right now, I think it's a 109 or a 110 to just at least qualify, and they kind of base your score on the DLAB as what CAT language you are able to learn. And
because there's some that are harder than others, right? And realistically, when we're looking at languages, I got people come in and say, well, I want to do this language or I want to do that. Well, that's not necessarily how it works. And not every single language is covered. It tends to be ones that we need, it's going to be, Russian, it's going to be Farsi, it's going to be maybe Mandarin, but some of those are harder than others. So, hey, you can be a linguist, but at what level? At what level would you be good to be a linguist? Yeah.
And they're pretty realistic about that when they come in, because you'll do it in boot camp. Mm-hmm. Because while in boot camp, you have to have a security clearance, so you have to pass basically TSSI. That they'll do while you're in boot camp. You'll actually get to make more phone calls than everyone else because you're calling your mother asking if your neighbor would be willing to say that you're not, going to commit espionage against the U.S. So it's that's a plus, I guess. And then, but the chief will come in and he or she'll sit down with you and be like, this is the languages available. Which one do you want? And which one are you qualified? And luckily I was qualified for Russian and Russian was available. So I got what I wanted.
So realistically now you're trilingual.
Yes.
You had like this weird smile. Is it because like you haven't used French in so long that you kind of forget it?
Yeah, I get to use French.
Okay, good.
Sometimes if someone needs a random French linguist, I got to do it more in Maryland than I have here in Texas. But, I try to keep my French up in other ways since I don't really use it for work at the moment.
Give us a sentence in French.
Oh gosh, it's like my mom putting me on the spot
with our neighbor. You can say whatever you want. Don't swear.
I won't swear. Je m'appelle Michal, j'ai 22 ans et j'aime parler en français. I don't know. I hate that.
I caught a couple things in there, believe it or not. There were actually a couple words in there I know. I heard French and your name. That was about it.
Yeah. Good for you.
So then you learn Russian, which I think a lot of people don't realize that a lot of languages, especially over in Europe, are very Latin based. So, some of them have the same even words. Like you look at Spanish and Italian, there are some words that even mean the exact same thing. German, you can throw German out. That's completely different. But Russian even has some of that kind of Latin base to it as well, does it not?
Definitely pulls from it. Actually, it shares some similar words with French, like
really?
Floor and beach. Bistro, actually a French word, right, for like a quick, place you can get food means fast in Russian. So it just kind of shows like how cultures like even influence each other through
hundreds of years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now you have to do a sentence in Russian. You knew it was coming.
I did, yeah. I hoped it wouldn't. Меня зовут Миша, я изучал по-русски в Институт в Монтерее, Калифорнии.
Wow. And you could even tell, like, when you're speaking it, you have to kind of watch your dialect too. Because when you speak French, it sounds French. You know what I mean? Where Russian sounds Russian. I don't know how to explain that other than that, but you know what I mean. So what I want to do real quick before we talk more about your career and where you've been, I want to show the Navy's video about CTI and then kind of get your take on it. Like the little rate videos, and we've looked at those before. So I'm going to pull that up and make sure that my mic stays on because I have a really bad habit of clicking the wrong one and then everybody yells at me, so you can't hear, because I'm horrible. So let me pull this up. All right, so CTI, again, we say linguist, but it's technically Cryptologic Technician Interpretive is what it stands for. So this is the Navy's video on this. We're going to take a look at this.
我叫杜爱玲，我是一个海军的翻译者。我上过国防语言学院学习中文。We're the Navy's linguists, but more than that, we are generally going to be working in intelligence. We really become cultural experts. We can travel. There's a lot of jobs that are open to us because of that knowledge.
Understanding connotation. You're not only translating the language, but you're trying to interpret the intent of that communicant in that conversation.
Whether it be, an operation on the ground in Afghanistan, whether it's a fleet operating in the South China Sea, we have the knowledge to make sure the reporting information gets out correctly to protect troops, real people lives, make policy decisions. So really the reporting and the briefs that we give can go a lot of places.
You go through the Defense Language Institute. They build your language skills from the ground up.
You are completely immersed. You're doing, at the minimum, 40 hours a week in class, which are very small classrooms with native speaking teachers. So the teachers are extremely highly educated. Their English is great. But when you step in that classroom day one, there's no more English. When that fire's lit and you really experience for the first time what it's like to be bilingual and to go somewhere and completely never use a word of English and be able to get through a social interaction, it's a very cool experience, and you have a better appreciation and want to learn more languages.
Yeah, so I definitely think it's my headphones, because I don't think anybody else, unless they noticed. I listened to that earlier. It was fine. When I just listened to that, like the music in the background was super loud, but it's one video. I don't know. It was weird. Anyway, so you've seen that video before, I'm sure.
Yes.
Probably more than once. What's your takeaway from that? Like, obviously it can't incorporate everything, but how, realistic is that video, or what do you take from that, or what could you add to it, or say like, yeah, that's true in this sense, or anything like that? What do you think?
I think that a really important part of it is when she mentioned that day one you step into class and there's no English. I would say that's a lie. They stopped speaking English day two. So you get
it's close.
It's very close. It's just it's about 24 hours, but it's definitely a difference. It just depends on the program as well, and they're natives from that country. So you get the personalities, you get the culture, and they're tough. They're tough on you, and they'll pull you through the course as long as you're trying and you're giving effort and everything like that. They want you to pass.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, if they see that you're not doing your homework, you're not studying, Russian teachers, they'll cut you like that. They're like, oh, we're not going to study. We're not going to do my vocab tests at home. That's undes. Not really. You'll get, they'll talk to you about other jobs, but and then deploy. There's definitely opportunities to deploy after you kind of go to your center of excellence first. Most of the time you go to your center of excellence. So for mine, it was Maryland. And for, Chinese and Korean, you'll go to Hawaii for at least your first tour. And that's really to kind of just touch base with your community.
That's the center of excellence? You mentioned something I've never heard that before. So you go to your school. Are all linguist schools, are all CTI schools in the same place? They're in California, right?
Yes, at DLI, the Defense Language Institute, you learn in different schoolhouses,
right?
And together. But then once you've graduated, hopefully you've passed your course, you've passed your DLPT, which is the Defense Language Proficiency Test, and that is something you're going to take every year, basically to keep up your scores and let the Navy know that you're still performing at the same level they need you to be for a linguist.
Right.
Then everyone kind of goes their separate ways. We go to Maryland because that's where Russian linguists go. That's our center of excellence. Well, you stop at Goodfellow, which is our A school. It kind of teaches you more technical stuff about being a military linguist rather than the Russian language, right? DLI was all about the Russian language, culture, all of those things. And then once you graduate, you go to Goodfellow and they're like, okay, this is the Russian military.
Okay, good. So we're on episode 82. We are with CTI1 Williams, who is a linguist, a Russian linguist for the Navy. And, we're going to talk about some of our other stuff here coming up soon. Just want to take a pause and tell you, make sure you smash that like button and share this feed if you haven't yet. Make sure you subscribe everywhere. And remember, I'm caught up on the audio version. So the audio version of this podcast should be out tomorrow, is my plan. But most definitely, make sure you smash that like button. Put a comment down below. Say hi, say whatever. If you have any questions for CTI1 while we're live, it's the best time to ask. We'll definitely get those answered for you. So you go to your Center of Excellence. So you did that. You go to Maryland, right? And then how long were you in Maryland?
So I was in Maryland about 4 or 5 years, longer than normal, just because of billeting issues kind of got worked out with me trying to either extend or go to a different UIC there still in Maryland.
Plus you were kind of like we're talking like kind of right in COVID timeframe too, right? Like COVID. So restriction of movement and billets were kind of weird.
Yep.
Yeah.
And to Texas that was my next out. Usually you have to have above average scores, you have to get a 2.2 minimum graduating from DLI. The test DLBT is ranked scores 0 through 3 with pluses in the middle. So it goes 0, 1, 1 plus, 2, 2 plus, 3. And so you have to at least have above the minimum score for detailers to kind of consider you for outside duty stations other than your center of excellence, which is Maryland. Basically,
okay.
is, you kind of need to stay close to home. If your scores aren't higher, improving, maybe you need to study more with more Russian linguists, because I'm used to be at a command with Russian linguists, 150, 180, and now I'm at a command with 5.
Yeah.
So
right.
They're really throwing you out by yourself, and they want to know that if you don't have a language training, you don't have the opportunity to refresh your score. Can you keep it up yourself?
Now,
and then they'll let you out.
So basically what you just did was toot your own horn without tooting your own horn, right? So you're saying that you had to be above average to be able to be stationed where you're at.
Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yep. There's a question, and it comes from Tom Bunnell, who is a member of my VFW, and he's still in as well. Good to see you, Tom. And he said, does she get special pay for being a linguist? This is a great question because you were fluent in a language, a second language when you came in, and you're a linguist, so you're trilingual. We've had episodes where we've talked about pay, and that everybody thinks like when you join the military, they just look at the base pay and that's it. They don't realize the BAS, the BAH, the C duty pay, special duty. There's different things. So for a linguist, there's a special pay as well, is there not?
There is. It's called flip pay. So when I first...
Did you say flip?
Flip, FLPP, and I'm actually not sure what it stands for right now.
Yeah, acronyms. My wife all the time, she's like, wait, what was that? I was like, it's like a PCS move. What does that stand for? I don't know, but I can tell you what it is.
It's stressful. Just worry about that. So you get it for your language. I used to get it for French and Russian, but they changed the policy that they are only really going to pay you for languages that are similar and or in the same language family as one that you're using. So if I was also taking a DLBT in Ukrainian or Serbo-Croatian, I would get those. But right now I just get it for Russian. But yeah, it is extra money, and the higher scores you get, the more money you get. Right.
That's great. So Josh Harshman, thank you. He's helping us out here. He said it stands for Foreign Language Incentive Pay, FLIP.
He's a CTR, and he knew better than I did.
Well, again, there's so many. We literally have a book of 3-letter acronyms. We refer to 3-letter acronyms as TLAs, 3-letter acronyms. Like acronyms in the military are sometimes we get a little ridiculous with them, okay? We know what it is. We just can't explain to you what it is most of the time. So I got you. And then Tom also said foreign language incentive pay. Yeah, absolutely. So, this is another thing. It's hard to get into. You're getting extra pay because of it, but they're teaching it to you, right? Like they taught it to you. You didn't know Russian. Like, yes, you knew French, but there are people who come in who don't know, they only know English and become a CTI, and you get paid to learn a new language. And I think what was really cool about what you talked about was the first school you go to, it's not just the language, it's also the culture, because it's important. And they kind of said that in that video too, right? Like, hey, you can learn this language, but if you don't really understand how it applies to the culture and how you're saying it, you could also be really offensive without even meaning to be.
Yeah, definitely. And it also helps you, a lot of the time linguists were listening to things and then we're kind of having to give our opinion or what we think someone of really high rank should do based off of what we heard. Yeah. And if you don't understand, dialect, slang, history, just the culture of those people, then how are you really going to give a full picture and give them all of their options?
Yeah, there's a lot more than just learning a language. I mean, think about here in the United States. Like you went from Maryland, you're originally from Carolina, went to think the difference in language, in English language, from Maryland to Carolina to Texas to you meet somebody who's like from real like southern like Mississippi or Louisiana. It's same language, but that dialect and some of the slur to it and some of the words that we use. So if you don't know the slang, there's one thing to learn the book language, right? I learned the book language, cool. I could read something or tell somebody something, but then if they talk back to me, I'm not going to have any idea what they're saying, you know? So I think that's really good that they, you know, a good point to make. It's not, hey, we're not just teaching you a language. You're not just learning from a book. You're learning from a local speaking person. You're going to learn the culture as well. And I think that's really important to know, right? But you had something, you know, I want to say that being a woman in the Navy that is so successful at what you're doing, and the fact that you tooted your own horn and said, look, I got higher scores, so I got to do this without saying it, getting this extra incentive pay that others don't get, right? That's already amazing all on its own. Been doing it for almost 9 years. That's awesome. But something even more amazing happened to you while you were in Maryland. And I had the opportunity to talk to CTI1 before the show a little bit and blew my mind as well with some of it. So again, make sure you smash that like button, share this feed, because this next part's amazing too. You got the opportunity to be one of the first females in the Navy to do something that nobody else had. What was that? I think you're sporting it right now.
Yep. The first women's All Navy Rugby team was founded in 2019.
Yeah. And you got your jersey, rocking the jersey right now. I like it. You see all your tattoos. Did you come in the Navy with all those tattoos too?
I did not.
So you're just a glutton for punishment. You're like, I'm going to get tattoos. I'm going to play rugby. I'm going to beat some people up. Like, man, the Russians really got to you is what I'm saying.
Yeah, they instilled it in me. I think I had one before I joined, but.
Yeah, because you even have one. I think you had waved to me or something. You have one on the back of your hand even?
Yes, it's my cat.
It's your cat? That's great. Yeah. So all women, all Navy rugby. But okay, so obviously, like, you grew up playing. Not a lot of people here know much about rugby. I mean, let's be honest. There is rugby. That's more of a kind of a UK thing, bigger over there. So I'm assuming you were East Coast. I know you see it in like The Departed. They play rugby and like stuff like that. So you grew up playing rugby then?
No, I mean, they didn't have women's rugby in Charlotte, North Carolina when I was growing up. It was only the high school boys. I only knew guys that played.
So you've never played rugby?
No, I'd never played rugby. And I actually was at DLI when I was learning Russian. I think I was on my way to PT, and I ran into one of my friends who's a Russian linguist, and they stopped me and they were like, hey, do you want to play rugby? And I was like, I absolutely do. I have no idea what that means, but yes, I would love to. And I think I went to practice like that next week, and that was all, you know. I haven't played other sport really is religiously. It's what I do with my free time. Honestly, it's everything I do.
So so let me get this straight. You did not grow up playing rugby. You didn't know anything about rugby. It wasn't until you knew that there was a team at your high school for the guys. You joined the Navy, you go to California, and you say you ran into somebody. Now, do you think it's because of how hard you ran into them? They were like, do you want to play rugby? Like, no, I know you didn't mean like physically ran into them, and you were just like, I don't know how, but like, yeah, I'd love to. And then how did the all female, because like we have all Navy teams, which we're going to talk about here in a second, I'm going to show, but like, how you went from not knowing anything about rugby to being on the first all women, all Navy rugby team. How did that happen? Like, how did that come about?
When we all started playing, it was actually funny. There was 5 of us women that traveled from DLI to probably about an hour north twice a week for practices and games in San Jose. And it was 3 enlisted women and 2 officers, and one of the officers was Army. And we did that every week. And it was just such a great sport. And the culture really is the best part, how amazing everyone is that plays it. And then I moved to Maryland, didn't really think much of it. And I was kind of playing it socially because it's really hard to quit once you start. Yeah. And again, one of the other women, she was an LT at the time, hit me up and said, hey, because she's actually moving into being a professional ref because she put away her boots, stopped playing, but she's trying to work her way up the reffing ranks. And she said, they're putting together a first all Navy women's team, and I think you should try out. And I said, okay. And I got on a list, and we got put out an email. I put in the application and got selected, and we went to camp.
Wow. That's so amazing. And like, just so, because I feel like there's probably a lot of people watching that don't know a lot about rugby, other than like the ball kind of looks like a American football. It's a little bit bigger, right? And but you don't wear pads, so it's not like it's kind of like a sissy version of American football, right?
Right. Yes. Whatever you need to tell yourself.
Yeah. No. Rugby is 100% full contact, right? It's very, very physical sport. The ball does kind of look. It's not round. It is. It's kind of not egg shaped. It's like an American football, just kind of a little. You got one set right there?
I do actually. Yeah. I have my first All Navy one. When we got out of camp, we got to keep them, and we signed them for what it looks like.
That one actually. Yeah, very close to a football, right? A little bit rounder, So, and you kick. They don't really throw. It's not like a downfield throw. Like you pitch, right?
Yeah, so you can only pass the ball backwards.
Yeah.
But you can kick it forwards if one could kick. I'm not a kicker. That's not my position. But but there are girls on my team that kick, and there are rules based on that as well. Whether or not if it bounces in, goes out, kicks it straight out. Bunch of different rules for that.
Mm-hmm. Now, the other thing with rugby, me and you were kind of talking about it, and I do want to bring it up because of something you said. So you had sent me, if anybody saw the pictures we posted, the ones yesterday, that there was a picture of you when your first jersey, and you're standing there with a lady, and I remember you sent me that picture because I had never met you before, and I'm like, wow, I think Williams is like 6'2". Because the lady standing I said either she's like 6'2" or the lady standing next to her is tiny. And I told you that I feel like a lot of times in women's sports, especially like MMA, or like rugby, something that's full contact like that most of the time people have this connotation that women are going to be very, guy, like very butchy, big, and you said, really, you're not that tall. It's just that lady standing next to you is like this big, but that she's one of the most ruthless rugby players that you'd ever met. So,
absolutely. As our coach, and she's maybe 5 foot, maybe 5'1", I'm not sure. But she'll put down girls bigger than me on the ground hard. She plays for the San Diego Surfers, which is a women's Premier League team, which is one of the highest levels to play women's rugby in the in the US. And no, yeah, she's fierce. She's so fierce. It just goes to show you that every body is a rugby body.
Right.
You know, anyone can play it, no matter what size, shape, height, everything. It's kind of a good sport for that.
Yeah. So it's not like football where it's, you're looking for certain things. Like you literally don't let it discourage you to try, if you happen to be somewhere and you see rugby. So, and if you go back and look at the picture, you can see that the coach, she's little. She is a little, like you said, she's like 5'2", like short.
Maybe.
So, don't let it discourage you. Anybody can play, but we're talking about, this all Navy, all female team, and the term all Navy, like what is that? We've never seen that. So what I'm going to do, and they'll still be able to hear you. This won't see you and then you'll be able to hear me, is I'm going to pull up, we've been talking about the all Navy teams and like, well, what is that? How does that work? So through MWR, this is through NavyFitness.org. You can look up the all Navy teams, and I'm going to read something here. There's pictures going by. But just to kind of read this, because I know it's kind of hard to see, it says, sailors who possess the athletic skills to compete above the intramural level in teams or individual sports have the chance to represent the Navy at higher level athletic competitions through the Navy sports program. All Navy teams participate in the Department of Defense's sports program and compete in the Armed Forces Sports Championships against teams from the Marine Corps, Army, and Air Force. Following inter-service competitions, the very best Navy athletes may be selected to compete as members of the All Armed Forces team and participate in the Military World Games, national and international competitions. The Navy sports program fields all Navy teams in boxing, bowling, cross-country, wrestling, basketball, soccer, triathlon, volleyball, softball, golf, rugby, and marathons. The Navy sports program also assists athletes who participate at the national or international level in activities that are not normally offered on base, such as rowing, archery, and shooting. Additionally, armed forces teams are selected to compete in international competitions in taekwondo, shooting, sailing, cycling, and judo. That's amazing. So I think the thing is, and CTI1, they can still hear you. We were talking about earlier, before the whole All Navy thing came up, you were still going and playing. You were still playing games. You were still practicing. There are opportunities to play sports when you're enlisted. Everybody knows about the Army Navy game. Those are the colleges, but there are intramural different leagues that you can play in, for your command, for wherever you're at. And normally you play against each other for bragging rights, for trophies, stuff like that. But this is a whole separate thing. And you had said, they said, hey, you should apply. So you can see here, you can read about each one, and you can see their schedule and their results. You can go here and look at like their results of like where they placed. But you can go to the sports calendar right on this page. And this is for anybody who's in. If you were interested in it, it shows the event, like the next one coming up, women's basketball. The application due date is due by the 21st of August of this year. Now, it shows their trial and training camps, and it'll have the date and location. Doesn't have that yet. Tells you when the Armed Forces Championships are and where they're at. So for this year coming up, it's going to be in Fort Benning, Georgia. And then the Nationals, the date is to be determined, but it's going to be in Belgium this year. So if you were on the women's basketball team and got selected to that higher range, you could end up getting to go to Belgium to play. And let's see if the rugby one's on here. I think it is.
Yes.
Women's rugby. All right. So application has to be in by May 8th. You got your application in yet?
We're waiting for change of command on March 5th and submit it to the new CO.
Okay.
So in 2 weeks.
Yeah. So then there's things to be determined, but then it shows your armed forces will be in Wilmington, North Carolina, and that'll be the 22nd through the 26th of June. So, it's really cool. And I'm going to just also say that, it talks about the armed forces teams that, are not just All Navy, and you can even apply for those here. If you go to the Armed Forces Support tab, you can see the All Navy sports application is right here. You go to the Armed Forces Support, you can scroll down, and then to learn more about the Armed Forces sports programs, you can click this link here and you can go learn more about it. So this is an amazing thing that we have, but I think really what I want to talk about with you is this. Cool. So I apply for this team, right? And I get selected. Is it like high school where after I get off work, I go and practice and the games are on the weekend or whatever? How does it work once you're selected for this? Oh, by the way, before you say anything, there was a shout out. Carlos Riviera, if you know him, said she is a beast with all exclamation points.
Thank you. So really kind of, I think the best part obviously is it's obviously great to represent the Navy in the Armed Forces Championship in those 3 days. But what it didn't mention is I think it's mostly the same for all sports, is that you have a training camp, right? Because these are women that I've had never met before. Mm-hmm. I'd never played.
Yeah, and you're on a team with them. You gotta get a little cohesive. Or you're not gonna succeed, especially at a sport like rugby.
Right, and so they pull us out about 2 weeks before that Armed Forces Championship, and you go TDY. So I'll, since it's the end of June, I'm just going to rough guess it because they haven't announced camp yet. They'll probably pull me around the 8th, 9th, or 10th, and we'll get out there and it'll either be in Norfolk. Usually the first All Navy was on the Naval Academy. We practiced on their grounds and we stayed there, and that was a lot of fun. The next time we did it, and it was a little bit closer to Wilmington, so we went to Norfolk. I think we were in Virginia for that camp. Mm-hmm. And you're there for doing 2-a-days, staying in a hotel, and you're waking up early and we're doing stretching, and then we go to training for 2 hours, and then we're off, and then we got lunch, and then back on the field for about 3 hours, and then it's ice baths together as a team. Sometimes there'll be cool downs that night. We'll talk about game strategy, and it's just like fully immersive. And some of my best friends I've made from those 2 weeks of just being in a hotel together and being delirious from the heat and training and lifting and all that kind of stuff. And that's when they kind of see us all play together, and then we kind of meld, and then they pick our final team. They let us know about 2 to 3 days before Armed Forces, and then we all travel as the squad down together to the championship.
So basically what you're saying is that while you have to let your command know that you want to try out.
Yes.
They say, hey, cool, you can go try out. You go to this training camp, you go to this tryout, you go to this training camp, and then even if you don't get selected, right, you're at this training camp, that's your job in the Navy while you're there because it's fully immersive, you're there. Then if you get selected, your job continues on those TDY orders. So the Navy is literally, during that time frame, is paying you to play rugby, and there's a definition. What is that called? Professional, because that's what makes you a professional, does it not? You're getting paid to play a sport, but you're still active duty Navy, and the Navy is literally paying you to go train and play a sport during the season until the championships are done, right? And then you just go back to your job.
Yep. And you get a daily stipend as well. I mean, it's not, thousands of dollars, but it still is extra money.
It's normally pretty good.
Yeah, you get a daily stipend while you're there at camp, and Navy pays for your flights, hotels. They rent the vans, they do the transportation. You get to keep all of your kit. Navy, for rugby you do. So our coach designed like these really cool kits. So I have, 4 different sets. You've got 2 different colors that you keep. And so that's cool. I get to keep this really, really nice rugby gear. That's all Navy stuff. And it's Navy approved PT for some things. So sometimes I get Navy shirts when we play, some kind of department training.
Yeah. You just show up in your rugby gear and people are like, what are you doing? Shit, maybe like, all Navy, just no big deal. Okay. Not you, me. Yeah. All right. No, that's awesome. So I had met somebody younger in my career when I was in A school, and I didn't really understand it, that he was on the All Navy softball team, like slow pitch softball team. And I remember asking him about it, and he was like in Virginia. I think he had to go down to Florida to try out, right? So he got to go TDY for the tryout, right? And he was lucky enough to get selected. And then, his job during the season was to play softball. And then he just went back to the ship after the season was over. But then there are certain ones that we were reading about. And again, we're on episode 82. You're watching Behind the Helm. I'm here with CTI1 Williams, one of the first female All Navy Rugby team members. And, make sure you smash that like button, share this feed. This is amazing. It's such a great story. So you have certain sports, I don't know if your guys is yet or not, where after that, the Armed Forces Championship, does it have an international one yet?
No. So in 2021, I made the women's Armed Forces team, and they were trying to. Okay, so that's everybody.
That's not just the Navy. So you got the Navy, and then like it said in the write-up, you can get selected then for the Armed Forces team, which is the best of all of them.
Army, Coast Guard, Air Force, and Marines. Yep. So I think there were 2 of us that were selected that year from the Navy, and then a few from the Army. And they try to pick from every team, all 5 teams, and they kind of just make this super unit for the Armed Forces. And I think that they're still trying to work out, the kinks of who we would play internationally. Again, rugby is gaining traction here in the US, but more popular over in Europe. So I think it's funding, trying to figure out who we're going to play,
right?
How they're going to do that. So I hope in the next few years, future women's Navy players that make the Armed Forces team will actually get to do some kind of international competing.
I mean, shipmate, you're pioneer. You're pioneer. It takes time, right? I mean, and you still got to do amazing things, and you're going to play. You're waiting to be accepted. Once you're accepted, are you automatically on the team? Or do you still got to try out? I mean, is there a chance you won't make it this year?
There's a chance, yes. So I'll put in my application and go and just give it my all, and hopefully I'll get picked up again. But, we need more women, and you don't need to know how to play rugby. We'll teach you. We've had new girls. We're in the development stages. Unlike the Army, Air Force, they have had women's all Army and all Air Force teams a little bit longer. They do a lot more tournaments throughout the year. They've got a development side and their normal side. We're still trying to pick up traction and get numbers. It's hard for us, deploying on ships. Some of our players are gone. And then obviously with, not being as popular as it is. So, we need more and more women to come out. Even if you've never played before, you've never touched a rugby ball, it'll be the best time of your life, even if you've never played rugby. So I encourage really anyone that's wanted to try it and in the Navy to put in an application.
And I would say that that's anybody in the Navy and any service that you're in. If you're Army, Marines, I don't know. I would assume that they have their own website. I don't know exactly. for them. But for us, I would tell you, male, female, if there was a sport that I listed off that you have a passion in, look, we've said it on episodes before when we've talked to other people, the answer that you're going to get from a question that you don't ask 100% of the time is no. So if you have a passion for, like, why would you not want to? Like, hey, I would love to play basketball. I wasn't good enough, or I didn't think I could go to college and play, or play in the NBA or whatever, but I know that I'm really good. Try out. Why not? And like, if you get selected, yes, the rugby one doesn't have the international part yet. You're still in the building phase. But like we saw, women's basketball is very popular. If you get selected for the Armed Forces team, they're going to play international world games in, where was it? Belgium, right? Yep. Like, and you're not paying to take yourself to Belgium. Like, that's going to be taken care of. Like, that is amazing. Like, it's so cool. So hopefully you're going to get selected this year. You try to be a captain, I think is what you told me.
Yeah, if Talia thinks that I'm the best fit for it, then hopefully, yeah, she'll select me as captain again. That'd be great.
What are the different positions in rugby? Is it just you're a rugby player?
There's kind of two different types of rugby, and without long and forwarding it, there's 80-minute games. That's called 15s, 30 women on the field, 15 per side per team. Mm-hmm. So that's minutes. And then there's sevens, which is what is in the Olympics, what most people kind of recognize in the US because it's our Olympic sport. And that is 14-minute long games with 14 men or women on the field, 7 per team. So very different types of play, 14 minutes versus 80 minutes. Mm-hmm. And so the All Navy and the Armed Forces, all those other teams, that's a sevens tournament.
Okay.
So it's the 14-minute games. So different positions, obviously, because there's only 7 women on the field.
Right.
For that one, rather than the 15.
Yeah.
Some similar one. Right.
What's your favorite position or thing to do on the field? Like what if you had a go-to? What's your specialty?
I think I'm a pretty heavy ball carrier. So my job is kind of to take ball and suck defense into me and make multiple defenders try to tackle me and kind of
get
create
somebody open.
Yep, get somebody open for one of my faster players to kind of break through and score a point. So
yeah, to actually score. So you're drawing them in because they got to bring you down, and somebody's going to be open that can shoot past everybody else. And
right.
One of the pictures we had posted, if you go back and look, it was you carrying the ball, and there were people chasing you. And I feel bad for the one girl that she's kind of off to the side because she's hurting, man. She wasn't catching you. She was she wasn't making it.
She sat back on her heels. You got to be aggressive in your tackles, or you're going to get sat down. So
yeah. And
I do. There are girls that, good form, aggressive tacklers, they'll put me down.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's full contact. When you say tackle, we're not talking football like soccer tackles. Like tackle in soccer is literally just getting the ball away from somebody. We're talking tackle like American football tackle, like you taking
right.
somebody down, right? You got to stop the forward movement or the ball movement, right? Like, so you're talking no pads. I've seen some pretty nasty, like you look up just like rugby, like best rugby hits, and you're like, how are they alive? Like, yeah. It's crazy. So you've done that now for a couple years, right? You got selected to do that the first time, 2019. Again, so awesome. That's amazing. You're pioneer. 2020 happened. Couldn't really do anything, right? 2019, right. You get selected for the All Armed Forces team, but it was, what was it?
2021. So 2020 was COVID. One was the next one.
Yeah, so you guys just didn't even have a team, did you? They didn't even do them, did they?
Not in 2020, no.
Yeah.
In 2020, they had us again.
Yeah, I mean, because again, like you're literally head to head. I'm going to try to keep up with it. Like, it's awesome. So you've been in the Navy 9 years in August. What are you going to do? What's next? What's next for you?
I'm actually getting out.
You're not re-enlisting?
I am going to go to school in the UK and try to play some rugby out there.
Wow, really? So obviously over in the UK, that's where rugby's big, right? That's, I mean, a lot bigger. But you're going to go to school, right? And we've talked about school benefits. I had a whole episode with Sergeant First Class Licklider where we really went in depth about the college benefits that we have, because I think a lot of times people know that you get free college with the military, right? And that's what a lot of recruiters kind of fall to. Hey, give you free college. Well, not everybody cares about that. But the question I always ask is, can anybody tell me how you get free college? And most of the time, nobody knows because it's such a loaded conversation. You use the tuition assistance, this, that, GI Bill. But, learning something from you, again, I've been in 12 years. I learn new things every day, okay? We're here with CTI1 Williams, one of the first female all-Navy rugby team members who, we're getting ready to talk about what she's going to do next. And so make sure you smash that like button, share this feed, amazing information. But I learned something from you. You're going to school in the UK because that's where rugby's big. You're going to be able to play. And I asked you, you're going to college in a different country. Like, are you able to use your GI Bill for that? And your answer was?
Yes, depending on the university, they'll accept them over in the UK.
That is amazing. I mean, because there's some really prestigious colleges in the UK that are well known. So it makes sense, but I never thought about that until I was talking to you about it. Like, oh, how are you doing that? Are they trying to give you a scholarship, or can you use your GI Bill? And you said, no, actually, I'm going to use my GI Bill. So you'll get to play rugby with, hopefully you don't get embarrassed, because I know you're good. But over there, there's kids that have been playing rugby since they're like 2. Probably like their first thing was not crawling. It was pushing a rugby ball across the floor or something with their head.
Probably.
It might be a rude awakening. Who knows? But
which will be good.
Yeah. Right. So what you're going to go to school. Do you know what you want to go to school for?
So I've applied to a bunch of different programs, about 5 different schools, but all of them are centered around Russian and French, either just a straight Russian and French degree or international politics and Russian and French. So just depending on the school.
Wow. That's going to be super cool. And then you were telling me you kind of have a goal, like you want to get your degree, right? I mean, hey, you earned it, right? And then hopefully go over there, play some rugby. And then you were even thinking about doing what after?
Once my big rugby days are over, probably coming back and commissioning with my degree.
Wow. So you come back to the Navy, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Ruby Williams is out on Twitch and said, hey, how are you? I don't know if that's maybe somebody Ruby Williams.
I don't know. No.
Oh, it might just be somebody watching. It's fine. I didn't know. I saw Williams, so I was like, oh, maybe that's family. I don't know. But hey, Ruby, I see you, and we're doing great. I'm so glad you were able to make it in. They're on Twitch. I don't really Twitch much, but we're on Twitch. We're live on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook every Thursday. So you're going to get out. You've done 9 years of service. You came in right out of high school, right? Don't mind me asking. I know it's kind of rude to ask a lady. How old are you now?
I'm 27.
27, not even 30 yet, right?
Not.
And you, hey, look, as far as I'm concerned, you're a professional rugby player, you got paid to play rugby. That's amazing. And now you're going to get paid to go to school, which you already have. I mean, you've learned so much, and plus, since you're going to go to school for Russian, French, and especially Russian, you've earned college credits already, right, on your joint service transcript that are going to hopefully, maybe, I don't know how it'll work in the UK, but transfer into that program. So that'll be great. You're going to go to school, get your degree, and then you're thinking about then trying to commission as a naval officer and come back. Is there something that you specifically want to commission it as?
At some point, I want to probably become a foreign affairs officer, a FAO.
That'd be cool.
I'll do my time as I haven't decided really what officer category I want to go into.
Sure.
But you do a certain amount of time in one of normal career fields before you can apply to be a foreign affairs officer. So that's kind of the future goal.
Yeah. So, and then on your rugby team, right? And these teams, right. I know you were playing with officers before. Are there officers on these all Navy teams too, or is it only enlisted?
Yep. So there's academy grads, there's Mustangs that are on the team. So it's split between enlisted women and officers. And I think same thing for the men.
So that means that you're going to get to go train in the motherland of rugby, come back, be an officer, and then still be on the all Navy rugby team, maybe, right?
Yeah, potentially, or apply for the OIC job, which would be great. Basically, it's traveling with the team, and my first OIC.
You'd be like the team mom, kind of.
Yeah, we had a captain as our team mom. It's kind of interesting to have, a Navy captain cut us up orange slices after practice and
right.
cheer on and make us signs.
Get your orange slices. Thank you, ma'am. Do I salute you now? I don't know.
Yeah, really sweet. She was trying to do our laundry, give orange slices, making us signs, getting us Gatorade. She was amazing. So hopefully at some point that can be me.
Yeah, that would be super cool. So I want to thank you so much for everybody out there who tuned in, and I want to thank you so much for actually coming on the show. I mean, we are the #1 military podcast in the Midwest now, so not just Indiana. So I understand why you wanted to come on, and I really do appreciate it. And shout out to your chief, who actually is the person who said, "Hey, you should talk to my sailor. She'd be great for this." And I said, "Man, I'd love to," and we were able to make it work. We're not quite done yet. This is the information. Again, episode 82, Behind the Helm, CTI1, Mikey Williams. Michael, when you were growing up, did you look at your mom and be like, "Mom, really?"
I would say it wasn't ideal growing up having the first name Michael, but I've kind of come into it now as an adult.
Because like you told, it's Michael Ann.
Yes,
it's not
Michael
really
Ann.
just Michael. It's Michael Ann. It's your middle name attaches to it.
Ann's my middle name, but my family calls me Michael. Really, my family doesn't call me Mikey.
Yeah, so like you could be out with friends when you were a kid, and your parents could just like yell, "Michael!" I don't know who they're talking about.
Five of us and me turn around to see what we've done wrong.
That's great. So really appreciate it. Again, go back if you are watching this now. After we're done, definitely go back and watch about her being a CTI. We got Women Appreciation Month coming up, and we're talking with probably one of the most amazing women I've ever met in the Navy. To be honest, like your journey's been amazing, and I think you got great plans for the future. And I want to give you an opportunity to win a little money for charity, and that's going to be in our bonus content. I know you didn't really know about it until today, and you really don't know what we're doing. But this is where we're going to stop for audio purposes. So I'm going to stop recording. We'll stay live, though.
Okay.
All right. So bonus content in 3, 2, 1. Bonus content. Guess what you're going to do? Do you have any idea? You said you went back and watched a couple of my shows. If you fast forwarded to the end, you might know. But I bet you didn't.
I did not.
All right. Hold on. I have to pull something up. You won't hear it, but everybody else will. And people who've watched my show know exactly what I'm doing. So you don't. That's okay, though. All right. Let me play this. Oh, yeah. We got a little music going. You just don't know what it is. Okay. Got that going. All right. Now, you can see my screen. So right now you just see you, right? With me in the corner. All right. Let me pull this up. All right, so first off, the charity you're going to be playing for today, we talked about it, and with your success and what you've done, you're going to be playing for the Women's Sports Foundation, which was created by Billie Jean, I forgot her name, legendary tennis player from the 70s, put this together for women's sports. We exist to unlock the possibilities in every girl and woman through the power of sports. What a great thing. And this is what you're going to play for today. You think that's a good one to play for?
I think so, yeah.
All right, good. Well, you are going to be playing Who Wants to Be a Millionaire $100 2000s edition, because I can't donate $1 million, but I can do 100. I can do 100 to your charity if you win. We'll see. Oops, I clicked the wrong thing. See, man, live, I'm telling you, one of these days. Bam. All right, so you're 27. You'd say that you're 2000s kid?
Yeah, I would say so.
You millennial or Gen Z?
Millennial.
Okay, good. You're going to need it. So here's the deal. Just like regular Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, you're going to have a question. That question is going to have a multiple choice answer, A, B, C, or D. You have 3 lifelines. Those 3 lifelines are a 50-50, an Ask the Audience, and a Phone a Friend. Okay?
Okay.
All right. And I will tell you, just like the real Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, the farther you go, the harder it gets. But this is the 2000s edition, so I think you're going to have a little fun with it. There are some stopping points. They will be in red. If you get to that point, your charity's getting that amount of money no matter what. And then if you miss, that's it. But you only can miss once. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right, here we go. What controversial music icon made headlines in 2002 when he dangled his 9-month-old son, Blanket, over a balcony? Prince, Bryan Adams, Michael Jackson, or Billy Joel for $1?
Michael Jackson, C.
Final answer?
Yes.
I have to ask. It's like a Who Wants to Be a Millionaire thing. Michael Jackson for $1. You are correct. In 2002, Michael Jackson sure did hang that poor little baby over the balcony, and everybody lost their minds. We're moving on. $2 for your charity. Let's see what we got. What Canadian artist released her debut studio album, Let Go, in 2002 with a heavy skate punk persona? Pink, Avril Lavigne, Amy Winehouse, or Hayley Williams?
I'd have to go with Avril Lavigne, B.
Final answer?
I think so, yes.
Oof, thinking. Thinking can get you in trouble.
I know.
You are correct, Avril Lavigne. You have $2 to your charity. Of course, everybody knows he was a skater boy. Said see you later. Yeah, right? All about that skate punk persona. The next question will be the $5 question, which is a stopping point. It's going to save you. Going to hold you at $5. As long as you get this question right, your charity will get $5 no matter what. Okay? Here we go. In 2004, what popular ABC TV show began with Jack opening his eyes on a mysterious beach amidst a plane crash? Flash forward. Titanic. There was a Jack in that. Army Wives or Lost?
D, Lost. Final answer.
You seem very confident about that. Did you watch Lost?
My dad did, yes.
Yeah. See, my mom watched Lost. I watched it later when I could just binge watch it because I remember watching my mom get extremely mad because of the not just episode hangers, but season hangers. Like, not good. But is it the right answer? It sure is. $5 to your charity. Absolutely. We're going to move right on to the $10 question. Here we go. More bars in more places was the mid-2000s commercial slogan for what American technology company? AT&T, Verizon, Sprint, or Nextel?
B, Verizon?
Are you sure?
Not really sure, but that's my answer.
Don't forget, you got 3 lifelines.
True, I do want to save them.
You do want to save them, but you also don't want to get one wrong, right?
Okay, I'll do the 50-50.
All right, so I wrote down 50-50s for every question because I never know what somebody's going to ask, and since I created this, it's a lot. So the 50-50 for this question. Be glad that you asked, because the 50-50 takes it down to AT&T or Nextel.
Okay, so AT&T is my final answer.
You are correct. AT&T, more bars in more places. That was their mid-2000s slogan. I might have led you a little bit. Look, I want to give to charity too, okay?
Yeah.
All right, next question, $20 question. You ready? Now, if it gets to like the $50 question, you're going to miss it. I'll let you miss it. I'll give $5 to a charity. You know what I'm saying? But I'm starting to get a little broke. I think my wife might start getting mad at me for every week I've been doing this. I was like, it's just so much fun. She goes, yeah, but you're giving like $100 a week to charity. I'm like, it's charity.
Yes, our money.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. The 2004 documentary Super Size Me chronicled the decline in health of Morgan Spurlock as he spent 30 days eating only from what fast food chain? Burger King, McDonald's, Hardee's, or Wendy's?
B, McDonald's.
Final answer?
Yes.
You are correct. That's $20 going to your charity as of right now. You're not stopped yet. If you miss the next question, they'll still get 5, but the next question is going to be another saving point. So absolutely, if you haven't watched Super Size Me, eats McDonald's for 30 days and he gets pretty sick.
It's rough.
It's real rough. I know people who can't even watch it. So next question. Are you ready?
Yes.
Basically free advertising for Nike, Air Force One's, a song, was a 2002 hit single by what St. Louis rapper? Kanye West, 50 Cent, Nelly, or Bow Wow?
D, Bow Wow. Final answer?
Keep me rocking in my Air Force Ones. You sure?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
positive.
Yes.
Still have 2 lifelines.
Okay, I'll use a lifeline.
I'm just letting you know that you
I know, yeah.
Which one you want to use? You want to phone a friend, or you want the ask an audience?
Phone a friend. Do I have to pick the friend?
You can.
Oh, or do you have a friend?
I can have a friend. I have friends. I don't know if you do.
A few. Yeah, we can ask the audience then.
You want to phone a friend, or you want to ask the audience?
Phone a friend.
Okay, I'll phone a friend. Let's see. Let me see if Petty Officer Levesque, one of the original creators of this show, happens to pick up. That would be a great friend to call. Oh, he's on the ship. Call my wife. See if we can help you. Maybe you're not going to get a friend. Oh, wow. Yeah, it might not be your lucky day. I got one. One more. We'll try one more here.
Okay.
Well, you know what? I think we're going to save... We'll save your phone a friend because we're going to ask the audience, because you have audience members in the comments going off. So let's ask the audience, okay?
Okay, that's fair.
The majority of the audience right now, people who are posting, are saying
Nelly.
It's Nelly.
Yeah, Nelly. Okay. Then I trust them.
You go with that? Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to go for it. Basically, free advertising for Nike's Air Force Ones was a 2002 hit single by what St. Louis rapper? Nelly for $50. You are correct. It was Nelly. Couldn't let you go with that one. I thought you'd know that one. It's okay.
2002, I was 5, 6, so maybe not.
You never heard Air Force Ones?
When you sang it, I remembered it, but I couldn't
know who
hear
it was. I gotcha. That's okay. We're getting $50 to your charity guaranteed, okay? The other thing I didn't tell you is if you get to 100, and even if you don't get to 100, there is a bonus question that'll get an extra $10. So if you miss any and you go down to 50, I'll still let you do the bonus question. We'll still give $10 to your charity, 10 extra dollars if you get the bonus question right, okay?
Okay, awesome.
All right, so you're at 50. You have one lifeline left. It will be a phone a friend. And I'm sure I have somebody I can actually call and would answer now, or you might.
Have friends?
Huh?
You called 3. I said you made the joke I didn't have friends. Do you have friends?
I
No one's
do.
answered.
Even my own. I think my wife is at dinner with her parents. Probably shouldn't have tried to call her. Anyway, next question. Released in 2002. Man, I'm just hitting you with the 2002s, I guess. Stripped is the 4th studio album of which New Yorker whose father was born in Ecuador? I told you it gets harder. Shakira, Nelly Furtado, Christina Aguilera, or Jennifer Lopez?
I'll use my phone a friend because I have no idea. I have no idea.
Who do you want to phone? Are you going to call somebody? You want me to?
You can call someone again.
You want me to be your friend? I'll be your friend.
Yeah. My friend?
Well, I would tell you that they're really trying to trick you with this question because they used Ecuador and then picked literally every singer you could think of any Latin type background.
Right.
So I guess it's really like which one's from New York would probably be a good thing. And then if you knew
Lopez
any of their albums from 2002, they're really just knowing whose album was stripped. Probably wouldn't even have to know it was their 4th one. I'm going to tell you I think it's Christina Aguilera as your friend.
Okay, then we'll go with that one because I would have guessed Jennifer Lopez because I think she's from New York. but
Christina
we can go
Aguilera, you're going with your phone a friend. You're out of lifelines now.
Okay, that's fine.
Right? This is the $60 question. All right, Christina Aguilera, you ready?
Yes.
What if I just lied to you? Would that be really horrible of me?
It's your show, man.
I know. It is Christina Aguilera. I told you. They do get hard, okay? And we still got a few more. But the next one is a stopping point, a save point. Earn $75 for your charity guaranteed, okay? That one was pretty hard, I'm not going to lie. I think that should have been the $75 question. We'll see. All right, here we go. Bravo turned away from performing arts, drama, and indie films in the early 2000s to focus on pop culture and reality shows. What 2000s quiz would not be complete without reality shows, right? This makeover started in 2003 with what series? Queer Eye for a Straight Guy, What Not to Wear, Extreme Makeover, or 60-Minute Makeover?
I think the Extreme Makeover was the house. Extreme Makeover edition.
That's good. Yeah, because you got to think with this question. We're talking about Bravo. So we're talking about the TV station Bravo. Early 2000s. Said it's the makeover. So obviously it's going to be questions with makeover in it. Started in 2003.
I would say Queer Eye is my final answer. Okay. I think Queer Eye has been around that long.
Queer Eye for the Straight Guy, which is not called that anymore. I think they still have it. They renamed it because that was offensive or something. But that originally, when it came out, Queer Eye for the Straight Guy for $75. No lifelines for you to use. Said it's your final answer. Let's see. You are correct. $75 going to your charity. It was Queer Eye for the Straight Guy. That's kind of the pilot show that they jumped off with when they went away from everything. But $75 will be going to your charity. So that's awesome. Are you ready for the last two questions?
I am.
I don't know if you are. Here we go. For $90. Speaking of Jennifer Lopez, Jennifer Lopez's choice to wear a low-cut green Versace dress to the 2000 Grammys prompted the creation of which specific search engine a year later?
C, Google image search.
Can I finish it?
Sorry, I forgot you had to read.
Tioma, Excite, Google image search, or Photo Bucket? Go ahead.
Google image search.
Final answer?
Final answer. Yes.
You were ready with that one. Did you know that?
I think so, yes.
You are correct. Due to her low-cut dress, they created Google image search for all those little teenage boys searching Jennifer Lopez on the internet.
Dude, that's the year Google image search was created for some weird reason in my brain.
Wow, that's pretty good. Well, you have a chance to win $100 for your charity. If you were on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, you'd have a chance to be a millionaire, but let's be honest. I make decent money, but not that decent of money, okay? So here we go. Bill Gates, this is tough. Bill Gates appears on the cover of the May 2005 Time magazine issue holding something in his hand. The subtitle reads, Microsoft has finally made something hip. What was he holding? Copy of Windows ME, examples of MSN Messenger, a picture of Microsoft Bing, or an Xbox 360?
I'm just going to guess an Xbox 360.
You're just going to guess? You have no idea. Do you even know who Bill Gates is?
I do know who Bill Gates is.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I'm just making sure. 2005. Xbox 360.
I don't even know if they're that old. Yeah, they are. Xboxes are that old, I think.
You're not going to talk yourself out of it.
No, I'm going to keep it.
Because you're right, $100 is going to your charity who's holding an Xbox 360, and he quoted, Microsoft has finally made something hip. So you just won $100, used all your lifelines, very smart on your part, and you won $100 for girls' sports, women's sports. But I'm going to give you a chance, small chance, we'll see, to win an extra $10 for your charity with a bonus question. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Deep breath. Here we go. What is the #1 military podcast in the Midwest? Is it E-Talent, Behind the Helm, In the Box, or E14, A Sailor's Voice?
I think I'm going to have to go with B, Behind the Helm.
You don't want to talk? We can talk about it a little bit if you want to. I don't know if you know E-Talent. In the Box was a podcast that was around and then wasn't around. E14 is a great podcast if you never checked it out. It's the Brits, Heath Britt and Jamie Britt. One's a retired senior chief. One is now an active chief in recruiting. Really good podcast. Behind the Helm, pretty decent from what I've heard. Pretty decent.
I'm going to stick with that one.
Just stick with that one. Let's see if you can get an extra $10 for your charity. I was kind of waiting for the music to build up. There it is. Let's see. Behind the Helm, you are correct. CTI1. I got a special image for you. Total prize money, $110. That's you.
Yay.
Way to go. Right? Let me stop the music. Let's pull you back up. So let's talk about what you were playing for just one more time. We're going to take a look here. I got to remember how to exit out of that. You just won $110, which Behind the Helm will personally donate to the Women's Sports Foundation, which maybe, hopefully, could inspire other girls and even women, because you didn't start playing rugby until you were a woman. You were already in the Navy, right? And I think it's foundations like this that help fund younger females to understand the possibility of sports. So I think it's a great charity to play for, and you just won $110 for them.
Awesome. Yay.
So again, I want to thank you so very much for coming on. I hope you had fun. I really enjoyed talking to you. I really enjoyed hearing your story, and I really hope that even if there weren't a ton of people watching today, that it'll get seen. And I promise you that as soon as it's up in the audio form, which the bonus content won't be on there, because it's more visual, it's more fun visually, and it cuts it a little short, I will send it to you. That'll be available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Audible, Spotify, wherever you can find a podcast, you'll be able to find it. You just search up Behind the Helm, like it, share it, or find it, like it, share it, follow it there too. So thank you very much. You almost stood a whole watch on Behind the Helm. So,
oh God, I felt like it.
Wow.
More fun though.
Well, I will tell you, if you ever need anything from us, always feel free to reach out. You have our contact now. Really appreciate it. And I'm not going to lie, if I ever have a young lady who's asking about sports, I'm probably going to get a hold of you. So good luck this year. Hopefully you get selected for the team and you guys do good. Now that I know it exists, I'm going to have to watch. And if you lose, you're going to hear it from us. So there were some other people that jumped in. Orlando Navarez, I hope I pronounced that right. It's good to see you. And like I said, Carlos Riviera, everybody who was watching today, thank you so very much. And it was a great show. Thank you again. I'm going to go ahead and end the stream, but stick around for a minute.
Okay.
All right. Till next time, everybody. See you next week. I have some other big news next week, but I hope you enjoyed the show.